What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today we test ride the new Panigale V2, then we'll hop on the old Panigale V2 to see how it stacks up. So it's Saturday, 8 o'clock in the morning. Weather's supposed to be absolutely perfect today. So we're gonna take a little mini ride out to ANS Motorcycles in Roseville, California. They're a Ducati, BMW, Triumph, and Royal Enfield dealer. They have a few demo bikes available, one of which is a Panigale V2, the redesigned one. They have a Panigale V2S and a Multistrada V2 as well. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ride the Panigale V4 to ANS, and then I'm going to ride the Panigale V2 back so we can get that comparison between the new V2 and the old V2. For those that follow this channel pretty closely, I've had a few of you ask me, hey, I thought you sold the Panigale V2. Why do you still have it? Well, I did sell the Panigale V2. It is sold, it's no longer mine, but it did get sold to a very close friend. That's why I still have access to it. This close friend has other toys and stuff going on at his house and his garage sometimes. So sometimes I end up storing this bike here, which is no problem because then I can use the Panigale V2 for videos like today. Speaking of, if you also have friends who like to store their bikes at your house, or you just have a lot of bikes and you'd rather do this instead of this or this every time you need to move your motorcycle, check out the affiliate link and coupon code down below for Dynamoto motorcycle stands. So anyways, guys, let's go ahead, suit up, make our way over to ANS Cycles. So we made it to ANS Ducati. I apologize for the audio. I can't possibly mic up every single person, but let's go ahead and get checked in here and get on the new V2 and V2S. All right, so we signed all of our papers. They took our insurance, license, make sure we had gear and everything. And there they are, V2, V2S, and Multistrada. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is the V2S, so I'll be on the V2S, Ron will be on the Multistrada, and Andrew on the base V2 up there. Okay, Panigale V2S. Let's check our mirrors. Let's see. I think the mirrors are good. All right, oh, fuel gauge on the V2S as well. Oh, very light. Okay, got the side stand. Oh, transmission is really smooth going into first. I noticed that as well. Clutch is pretty light. Immediately I noticed the engine is very smooth. It doesn't even feel like a V-twin, which is kind of strange to say. Yeah, it's very smooth. Clutch engagement's quite far out, like most Ducatis. So I'm just looking at all my controls again, one more time. Again, the V2S, it does have the Olin suspension, so I'm interested to see how this rides, but very, very smooth. That's what I'd say. First, it feels very, very light. You can immediately tell that there's no steering damper, however. Yeah, you can just tell that there's no resistance in the clip-ons, or I should say in the risers here. But I do like the display. It's you can see here a little less RPM than the prior V2. Pretty torquey. I think the old one, let's give it some, I don't know, I think the old one has more torque. I thought it would be a little stronger down low with the variable valve timing, but quick shifter is smooth. I actually think the quick shifter is smoother on this V2, on the new V2, as opposed to the old one. Pretty strong induction noise, which is great. Not a lot from the exhaust, but it does have a, the induction noise is quite loud. Pressure on the brakes feels quite good. Mirrors work well. They actually, never mind. They actually vibrate just as much as the prior generation. I guess once you get it in power band, it feels pretty good. But down low, I was actually expecting a little bit more torque. You can definitely tell that this is a just different philosophy of use for this bike. It's just not as aggressive as the prior V2. Seating position is a lot more relaxed. It actually almost feels like a naked bike seating position. Controls are a little bit, let's get through this intersection here first. I actually don't like this. I don't like the way the control is set up. To reach the turn signal, this horn button kind of gets in the way, and then this toggle is kind of in the way. Let's give it some beans here. Yeah, I don't think it's as strong as the prior V2, but makes sense. Even though this bike is much lighter, it's down quite a bit on power, so the power to weight ratio is still not as good as the prior gen V2. Let's see how the manners are at kind of lugging the motor. Yeah, really smooth. Let's lug the motor even more. Actually, I'll say when you're lugging the motor, let's go into 6th actually. Yeah. I thought it'd be a little stronger down low, but let's catch up with these guys. I think we're gonna hop on the freeway here. It does ride really good. The Öhlins, at least the way that this is set up. I don't know where the preload is and how all the adjustments are, but how this bike is now for me, it rides really well. I'm quite surprised. Seems like it tacks up about as fast as the prior V2. Maybe about the same. I think it comes down in the rev slower. The heat though, so you can see there our temperature, 196 is our coolant temp, and I'm not feeling any heat coming off the bike. So to be fair, it is a cooler day. It's about 70 degrees right now, but I'm not feeling any heat at all, so that's quite an improvement over the prior V2. The prior V2, it's basically hot. Even in the wintertime, you can still really feel that heat. This is quite nimble. I guess I'll say for the type of bike that this feels like, with that kind of upright seating position and how light it is, I'll say, to be honest with you, I don't think I miss the power. The power is adequate. So I don't feel like it's underpowered. I don't feel like I'm really missing anything, if that makes any type of sense. But it really feels like an RS 660. Very, very similar, just very playful, very light. Let's whack the throttle. Just amazed how smooth this engine is. I guess because the rotating assembly is so light, it feels smoother than the prior V2. This doesn't feel like a twin. It feels Maybe not quite as smooth as a 4-cylinder, maybe like a 3-cylinder, maybe. So that's definitely interesting, but yeah, I'm just amazed how I'm not feeling any heat out of this bike at all. It's very comfortable. I just felt I think I just heard the fan kick on, and I'm not really feeling that heat there. So but from the cockpit, I think a lot of the materials look a little bit cheaper. This definitely looks cheaper than the prior generation. All this plastic looks a little bit cheaper as well. Oh, there's the fan there. I don't know if you guys can hear that on the audio, but the fan just kicked on, and I'm feeling a little bit of heat off the engine, but it's not much at all. I think an option that I would get on this bike though is definitely a steering damper. As I'm running over this uneven road, and in California we've got some pretty bad roads here. I'm kind of driving over these tar strips and stuff like that. It does want to follow them pretty severely, so I would probably get the optional damper for this bike. But very, very tossable. Very tossable. And that was absolutely wide open throttle. We'll do another pull here. That definitely doesn't have the power of the prior V2. That is for sure. Oh, look how high the revs are. So 90 miles an hour, I'm spinning almost 6,000. Wow, that's crazy. Even with the throttle chop there, it's still pretty tame. Not to say it's slow, that's for sure. The front end did get pretty light there. I don't know where they have the wheelie control set, but the front end definitely got light chopping the throttle there. Okay, that wheel definitely came up there. Woo! The throttle application is smoother than the prior generation though. It's not so choppy, the prior gen. Well, Panigales in general, partly because of that play in the throttle. It'd be pretty choppy when you're trying to apply the throttle nice and smooth. On this bike, it's much easier to apply that throttle smoothly, which is pretty cool. Yeah, there's definitely less play in the throttle. And we are back. New Panigale V4 there with, are those? Yeah, those are the forged wheels. Dang, that is, I wonder whose bike that is. But we'll check that bike out too. V2S, V2, multi. That was awesome. Yeah, you guys could see the way the new exhaust is. The exhaust pipes are really small. Not sure if I'm a huge fan of that, but yeah, everything is just smaller on this bike for sure. V2S next to the V2. It's got the Öhlins on the V2S. And basically they look pretty much the same. Interesting though, the base V2, this is the passenger seat, and on the S it's actually got the cowl, so a little difference there. When I was riding that V2S, all this stuff just kept getting in the way, so I don't know if I just need to get used to it or what, but it feels a little cheap too, which I don't like. You can kind of see how loose it is, but as far as being intuitive, as far as being able to cycle through the different modes and stuff like that, this is actually easier than the old setup. So I think what we're gonna do here is we're gonna switch off. I'm gonna jump on the V2 base and compare it with the V2S. Okay, let's jump on the V2 base. Let's see how we do. Feels like the forks stick a little bit on this one. But let's mess with the modes a little bit. Let's see. Oh. All right, so V2 base. Feels like on the uneven portions of the pavement, a little bit less poised than the Öhlins. Not bad though. I mean, this is coming from my skill level, which is, you know, not that high. I just chill on these things. I don't claim to be a professional rider or racer or anything like that, but it does seem to be a little bit more, I don't know, not quite as stable as the Öhlins setup. This bike is very tossable. Feels super light. I forget how short the gears are on this thing, so every time I look down, the tack's at 6,000–7,000 RPM when I think it's more at like 4 or 5. But not a bad thing, it's just what it is. You can see there, Ron just did a little tiny pull on that V2S and basically no exhaust noise at all. Very, very quiet. It's definitely heated up a little bit as far as the ambient air, and again, this bike is really good on heat. It's just not hot at all. Andrew getting the wheel up. Yeah, you guys can see that new V2, it looks decent. It looks a little bit plain, I would say. It looks decent, it just looks a little bit plain. You can see Ron there on that V2S. Maybe once some parts start coming out for him, tail tidy, exhaust, maybe some carbon and stuff like that, maybe that'll make him look a little bit more aggressive. But stock form, it kind of just looks like a red sport bike. Brake feel feels about the same as the old Panigale. I thought the brakes would be a little stronger, a little more responsive, just because it's lighter. But again, at my skill level, I don't seem to feel much difference there. Yeah, you feel. And there's the exhaust there on the V2. So it's weird. Stationary, you actually feel a lot of the vibration like you would expect from a V2. But as you're moving, you don't. It's kind of a weird sensation. So as I'm doing that, I feel a lot of vibration coming through the seat, the handlebars and everything, but when you're moving, you don't feel it. So kind of strange. You guys can see here, some of the plastic doesn't fit super well, but no big deal, but just something that I noticed just now. Oh yeah, this is definitely not as stable as the Öhlins, that's for sure. You can see how rough the ground is there on that off ramp. It's not as poised as the Öhlins. Ooh, that rear brake on that V2S is not good. Let's get some more speed going here. Here we go, boys. I could definitely be a lot less careful with the throttle on the on this new V2. I'm being pretty rough with it, just kind of whacking it, and it doesn't get out of control or anything. Not a lot of play in the quick shifter either. I'm kind of just noticing that. The prior generation V2s have not a lot of play, but they've got a little. These are very direct. You know what? I think my rear brake is squeaking now too. So maybe that's going to be a thing with the, you know, the pad compound with the new V2s. Okay, and there you have it there, folks. V2 and V2S 2025 redesign. Dude, when you picked the wheel up, that was sick, dude.
I might sell that for this, bro.
Yeah, dude, it looked like a big old boat, like going up.
So I understand. So that engine actually feels perfect in that chassis.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what. So that like it works on that. Well, like if I were to fix that motor, I'd just enter that.
Yeah.
That's like perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have, it's weird on a Panigale, you don't have much RPM or anything. So like you notice when you hit like 100, I think 6th gear, I think I was at 55. It was pretty high. I was surprised.
I'm pretty sure mine was a little higher because of my weight.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you.
The fucking red started flashing. I'm like, also the with the horsepower, like if you're merging on the freeway, dude, you can't feel anything.
Yeah, it's just.
You need to collect the license. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chuck. Okay, and let's get on the V2. All right, 2021 V2. Let's see what the difference is here, guys. I'm gonna fill up real quick, get some gas, but actually this honestly feels just as narrow. Kind of forgot how narrow these are, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, I thought the new V2 was more narrow, but actually I don't think there's much difference. On the throttle there, a lot more power than the new one. It'll be interesting to see what some of the aftermarket exhausts end up sounding like on the new V2s. I'm wondering if it's going to sound as aggressive. I've seen heard some videos of the Terminoni exhaust on the new V2, and it sounds decent, but not as aggressive as as a V2 like this one with this Austin Racing exhaust. So to be fair, I mean, Terminoni, their exhaust systems are generally pretty quiet, not too aggressive. So to be fair to the new V2, we'll have to wait until you know, SC Project comes out with their exhaust system for it, or maybe even Aero or something like that. We're on the 2021 V2. This bike, honestly, it feels just as nimble as the new one. The new one maybe slightly more nimble, but these older V2s, they like to be tossed around. I mean, these bikes are they feel very, very light. They feel lighter than they really are. The engine has a lot more grunt, especially on the top end. I think Andrew was saying that he thought that the new V2 was a little stronger down low. For me, it feels like it's about the same. I think the older V2 is actually a little bit stronger, but it might just be my perception. It might just be how we ride. That being said, though, if it's hard to tell the difference between them, that means if there is a difference, it's not that much. It's not very appreciable, but the top end for sure, you definitely feel it. The older V2 has a lot more top end. You have more RPM to work with as well. As you guys saw, that new V2, you only had about a 10,000 RPM redline, whereas the older V2, you have, you know, 11.5, even a little bit more after you flash it. So got more RPM to play with, a little bit longer gearing and stuff as well. As far as stability, I think the new V2 is a little more stable, especially the S with the Öhlins. once it is leaned over, I would say both bikes, they equally are eager to lean over. But the new one is just a little bit more stable, probably because of that swing arm. Quick shifter has a little bit more play on the on this older V2, but it's not bad, honestly. It's not the best. I've heard Triumph and BMW have probably the best quick shifters. The Ducati ones are okay, and the new one is a slight improvement. The new one, it's a little bit smoother going up and down, but you know, not by much. I would say the older Panigales, the quick shifter is a little bit more temperamental. Not much, but just a little more temperamental at certain RPM. If you're kind of not in the right RPM range, it'll be a little bit rough. The new one seems to be a little less picky about where you shift the bike. This bike does get hotter. I mean, to be fair, it's hotter now than during the test ride, but again, not by a ton. But even on the freeway here, I can definitely feel the heat coming off this bike. Whereas the new V2, even with the fans kicked on, I didn't really feel anything as far as heat goes. The display, I think on this older V2, it's a little more purposeful looking. The newer V2s, there's a few different displays you can choose from. You can actually cycle through different displays. And I think the newer display, it's a little more cartoonish looking. I don't know if it's just the animation or whatever, but it's a little more cartoonish. Not necessarily a bad thing, it's just what it is. This one seems a little more serious, and it fits the bike a little bit better. I mean, Ducati, they wanted to build a little more playful, a little more friendly Panigale V2, and I think if that was their goal, if that's what they sought out to do, I think they did a pretty good job of that. You're in a lot more relaxed seating position. It's just more comfortable. You're definitely more upright. The throttle is a lot less on-off. It's nice, smooth application, whereas on the older Panigales, they're known for having kind of an on-off type throttle, along with a lot of play in it. The new V2, it has some play in the throttle, which you need a little play, but it does not have near the amount of play as this Panigale, for example. There's another three-wheeler. Last time I got crucified by you guys for waving to three-wheeler, so I won't do it anymore. I would say on the new V2, the power, it's sufficient. It's definitely not underpowered. I mean, you know, you have a 400-pound motorcycle wet with 120 horsepower. I mean, that's not going to be underpowered by any means, but it doesn't have that rush that this bike has. And once we get through this traffic, I'll open it up here for you guys. But you don't get that rush with the new V2 that you get with this one. Again, that's not what Ducati was trying to do. They knew that it was a less powerful bike, just different purpose. But these older V2s, you do get a rush. Here we go. There we go, full throttle on the V2. You guys see it picks up like nothing. To be fair, this bike does have an exhaust system, it does have a flash, so it has more power than a stock Panigale V2 from this era. So just to make that clear, we don't really know how much power the new V2s are going to gain. Maybe we find out that, you know, with the flash and exhaust and an air filter, you know, maybe the new V2s end up picking up 10-15 horsepower. You know, we don't know yet, but for right now, in stock form, that new engine, it's not lackluster, it's okay. It's this engine is there's definitely more vibration. You don't forget that it's a V-twin. The new one, I think you can kind of forget that it's a V-twin at times, which is kind of cool. Alright, so we are almost back to the garage. We'll wrap this video up here pretty soon. We'll do some final thoughts and wrap it up. So beautiful day today, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me. It's been Such an awesome day today. It's probably the most fun day I've had in a while. And we are back. So after riding the new Panigale V2, V2S, and the old V2 all back to back, really my key takeaway is this. The new V2 and V2S, when you consider what Ducati's objective was, I think they did a good job. It's just, for me, it doesn't feel like a Panigale anymore. I think some of that is because we've lost some RPM with the new engine. You don't get the top end power that the old engine had. The new engine, it's not like it's underpowered or anything like that, but you just don't get that rush that you used to get from the Super Quattro. That Super Quattro V-twin, yeah, it wasn't a V4, it wasn't 230 horsepower or anything like that, but when you open that motor up, you would still get that thrill, that rush on the top end, which the new bike, you just don't really get. The gears are much shorter. You end up going through a lot of gears before you even hit, 100 miles an hour. So I think part of it too is the exhaust, and that's not all Ducati's fault. There's a lot of emissions restrictions and stuff like that, but you basically don't get any exhaust sound with the new V2. It's all induction sound. For me, it was very reminiscent of the older like Honda VTEC engines, where you get a lot of induction sound when it switches over to VTEC. The new V2s, it's kind of the same way, and it makes sense because the new engine does have variable intake timing, so it makes sense that it kind of sounds the way it does. The cockpit itself, it just feels cheaper. It is a cheaper bike, so you can't really complain too much. They're charging you less for the new V2, so it kind of comes with the territory. But just little things like there being no steering damper. If I were to buy a new V2, I would definitely get a steering damper. On the first test ride, as soon as I turned out of the parking lot, I could feel that there was no damper there, which I didn't like. It's just not as stable. Ducati is going to offer a damper as a factory accessory, but it's going to be pretty expensive. $800-900, I think, is what it's looking like it's going to cost. But if you do get one, I would highly recommend getting that damper. I'd also highly recommend getting an S. When you go up to a V2S, it's not that expensive of an option. It's about $3,000. And with that $3,000, you get the manual Olin suspension. There's some other things you get, like lightweight battery, the rear cowl and stuff like that, but the main difference is the suspension. I think the magic there is Ducati gave us the non-electronic Olin suspension. When you look at the V4S suspension, it's electronic Olin, so that's better in certain ways, but it adds to the cost, and I think more importantly, it adds to the complexity, so more things to go wrong. For me, when I was looking at V4s, the main reason why I didn't buy an S is because of the electronic suspension. If it was manual Olins, I probably would have got it. So I think when the question becomes, would I buy a new Panigale V2? For me, the answer is no. I don't think that the redesign is a bad bike or anything like that. It's just, for me, I think a lot of that magic is gone. It just felt like riding a nice, sporty motorcycle, that's it. It didn't feel like a super bike anymore. Later on when we have different exhaust systems available and other modifications, maybe that will change, but for right now in stock form, it just didn't feel like a super bike. It just kind of felt like a regular bike. It did feel quite light, but I think the magic with the old V2 was that it felt light, it felt very nimble, but it really wasn't that small of a bike. I think that was the magic, is it felt small, but it kind of wasn't. The new V2, it feels small because it is small. I mean, everything is, when you look at that bike, the exhaust pipes are super small, all the little, everything is just small. The scale is just different. It doesn't look like a super bike anymore. So anyways, guys, I hope that video was helpful today. I don't want to make this video too long. I tried to pack in a ton of stuff into about a 30-minute video, but thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out the affiliate links and coupon codes down below. And until next time, we'll see you on the next one.